So I'm gonna say this too, just to address, because you keep bringing up the body count thing. Men do and do not care about body counts to an extent. Men care about body counts to an extent with the woman that they choose to be in a serious relationship or potentially wife. If it's somebody that I'm just messing around with, we just dating, whatever the case may be, men, dependent on the man, won't necessarily care. And even if the woman does have a high body count, if she carries herself in a manner as to where you wouldn't even know, then it's, you know what I'm saying? It's for some men, it's a don't ask, don't tell. You know what I'm saying? If you got a high body count and I'm feeling you, I'm not even finna ask you what's your body. As a man, I'm not even finna ask a female what's their body count. In most cases, just from me looking at you and the way that you carry yourself, the way you present yourself, then I kind of have a good idea, especially with our conversations, uh, all of that, our interactions. Then okay, I can tell Shorty done been around. You know what I'm saying? Or no, okay, I can tell that she really ain't had too many bodies, or she's carrying herself so well that I won't even know that she done cracked, you know what I'm saying, 30 niggas or whatever. So I think that all varies on the type of man that we're talking about. But overall, is 50-50, you know, as far as with body count. But men care about body counts, but we really don't care about it to an extent.
What about when people always talk about OnlyFans chicks? Isn't that her being honest? These men know what
Well,
they're.
yeah, I mean, exactly. So there's only going to be a certain type of man that mess with women that's on OnlyFans. The same
Well,
way.
no, what I'm saying is, what is the hula about trying to get women off OnlyFans? If this is something they want to do, they know the what goes along with that. These men sign up for it, so there's an agreement to it. So what's the issue?
What you mean? What's the issue?
So people are always talking about OnlyFans girls, right?
Right.
Like almost like they trying to take them off get them off the ladder or to get them off the top of the bridge. You know, they won't jump. And the problem is these women are making a decisive decision to be on OnlyFans, and their people who are their subscribers are deciding that they want to subscribe. And these are two consensual people doing something for each other. But we have a problem with that.
I mean, I personally don't have a problem with it. If that's what you into, then that's what you into. Before OnlyFans, it was strippers. You know what I'm saying? So they're sex workers. You know what I'm saying? It's part of the culture. It's part of the economy. You know what I'm saying? This is something that has been happening since the beginning of time. So I think that I think maybe the conflict far as with women that are on OnlyFans are the women that still want to get wifed. And it's like, no, that's not how the game works out. You know what I'm saying? Where you're going to actually get a man that's going to take you serious and that's going to wife you. You know, that's not how it works. And that's not how it ever worked. So I think if anything, that's the the issue that most men have with OnlyFans. Aside from that, is if you know what I'm saying, if that's how you want to put yourself out, then that's how you want to put yourself out. And then of course you're gonna have some men that want to be Captain Save them, and you know what I'm saying, they're gonna try and finesse her out of it or whatever, you know. But a real man, we don't give a fuck about that.
Yeah,
Well,
I
we're not talking
agree.
about dateable. So see, people are getting me mixed up. This has nothing to do with dateable. It's just a per people's choices. We're talking about righteousness, right? And you're right. So it takes a righteous person to say, "Hey, I think it's bad for me to take advantage of this situation," right? Even if I just won't take advantage of the situation. I know how you feel. I got the leg up. I'm just not going to take advantage of the situation. The same goes for people in sex work, right? It has nothing to do with her being marketable and dating because obviously she doesn't care. We're just talking about a woman who doesn't have a righteous moral way about herself and she just doesn't care. They're two consenting adults. Who cares?
Right.
These grown people making grown people decisions.
Right.
Yeah, I think that these are all separate things. Being moral, being honest, being righteous, these are all different things
For sure.
because they're based upon, what it is that your beliefs are, right? Dictates your morality, it dictates your righteousness. Because if you look at some scripture, it says none of us is righteous, and that your righteousness is as filthy rags. So even if you are being righteous, you're not necessarily better than the other person. But in all fairness, you have to understand that you being honest doesn't necessarily absolve you of the consequences of your actions. If you are honest with this person, say, hey, I don't want anything with you, right? And this person says, well, I don't want to not be in this if I'm not getting this. And you both engage in this situation, the consequences of that relationship are going to be that, just the consequences. Good, bad, indifferent. Everybody has played a part and consented into being a part of this relationship, good, bad, or indifferent. And I think that you being honest is a good thing. However, even if you're honest, like, I think that you should also be cognizant that, listen, you might not be doing a good thing. Because if I say, hey, honestly, you know, I can understand that when people smoke weed and stuff like that, even though I don't, when I get stressed out, I can understand why people smoke weed. Now, that's an honest feeling. I will never smoke weed, more than likely, but I can understand the sentiment of how people feel like life is so stressful and it's just so much better to just smoke weed. I'm like, all right, cool, bet. And I'm honest about that. I said, listen, this person was honest with me. He told me the truth. And if I should engage with this person after they told me the truth, I mean, shoot, that was my decision. I think where a lot of brothers get up in arms about this conversation isn't just the fact that men are held to the standard that we supposed to be the leaders and we supposed to do the right thing regardless of these women that are supposedly getting the same messaging. Women are also supposed to be righteous and chaste and all these other things. Men are supposed to be righteous and chaste. But yet, when we have these conversations, we only hold that standard to men. Now, of
We
course,
don't.
there are people, no, we definitely hold that standard to men because we feel
No.
like men should be the leaders and that men should be doing those things. We hold a higher standard because we hold that men should be better, just like when we say that men should never hit a woman ever, right? You're holding him to a standard to be at this level that necessarily that some women don't get that same messaging. They'd be like,
No.
listen,
But in this particular, that's because he's stronger than her. But in this particular
what the,
situation,
that
so,
that's that's
that's
irrelevant.
that's tomatoes and oranges. Listen, in this particular situation, I do not often hear men saying, "Oh, you need to watch out for her feelings before you have sex with her." How many men do you know say that to their friends?
But men ain't thinking about feelings
Never
when
in
they're
my
messing
life
around
heard
with
it. This
women.
is actually the
They
first man I
thinking
heard
about their
say
act.
Well, it's the difference. I do think men are held on a higher standard when it comes to, like what you said, the being physical with the woman in terms of
right.
hitting or whatever. But it's the opposite. More of the, I would say, more of that pressure of being morally right falls on a woman when it comes to sex. That it is the total opposite. Y'all are
And
giving
women
more
hold the
that
key to it.
leadership in that regard to physical violence. For women, it's really about making sure that we make sure y'all don't have sex with us. We have to take ownership in that, regardless if we want to or don't. More of that ownership is placed on women than it is men when it comes to sex. If we want to
Women
be honest.
women hold the key to sex. So of
Absolutely.
course, now
Right, but when you
and
said
now
that they're held to the same stand, that they're not. You just said they hold the key, so they have a higher. They're held to a higher standard than men with sex. So that's all she was saying was what he was saying was incorrect because of that.
and going to the men to women to men not hitting women, I 100% agree with that. Now, in my years of bouncing, I've watched multiple women literally try to go toe to toe with men. I've even worked with a guy that was at a club breaking up a fight. He was bouncing. He's breaking up a fight, and the chick walks up. to him with her heel and hits him in the eye with it. He loses his eye. I've seen women literally smack the glasses off of men. I've had women try to go toe to toe with me. You know what I'm saying? So it's I agree with it, but at the same time, I won't allow myself to be a victim. So you're not just finna, you know what I'm saying? You're not just finna hit me. So as the old saying goes, in all of these situations, if you make your bed, you got to lay in that motherfucker. So if you're tough enough to stand toe to toe with a man, knowing that this man is bigger, stronger, so on and so forth, then if he hits you because you hit him, then to every action is a reaction. That's the law of the universe. So
Yeah,
Yeah, so that's why I
that
say
wasn't the
it's
subject though.
irrelevant.
Let's
Well,
stay-
that's why I say it's irrelevant when women bring up, "Oh, he's stronger than you." So that's the reason why they would say that. No, they just think that there's no reason why you should be putting your hands on a woman because it's not morally right for you to hit women. But if you're going to defend that woman from another guy, it's perfectly fine. And I just think that it's completely irrelevant that women keep bringing up that he's stronger than you, that's the reason why you should never put your hands on a woman. There
Y'all
are women that
heard
are
me
bench pressing,
say,
squatting more
I
than
don't
men.
ever
Nobody.
want to,
One, this is not the subject we're on. I
right,
have no idea how we got here.
but I
Two,
don't think
we
we've
do
ever
not
said
have
that
to do
on
with
this
women nor
show.
men hitting each other.
Right.
So can we please go back? This is what I'm talking about. Y'all moving into a subject somewhere totally different. Can we stick to what we're talking about right now? And right now, what we're talking about is the righteousness, the moral on what you can control as a man as it relates to sex. And as we stated, most of the responsibility of having standards is placed on the female, not the man. Can we all agree on
yeah,
Okay.
No.
You just saying no just to say no.
No, I'm not, because
that?
even in the
Like,
conversation that we just had,
let's
we're
no, no.
talking about the standard of how men or women, they're held to different standards. So even
We're
in
talking about in
like,
a particular subject, not because we can go down a
Not
tangent.
in
There's so
general.
many
He specifically
things. Let's
said
talk
about
about
sex.
this one.
And even AP, he said men are held to a higher standard, a much higher accountability in all things. So my thing is, again, maybe he's being very broad, but what you're doing is you're being very specific. We're specifically talking about sex.